Come on, everybody, now gather round faster. Stone's about to talk about his modified blaster. Ah, yes, the Saturn. I know I'd put a ring on it. Over the last few months of thrifting, I've discovered and acquired 2 of the Nerf rival Saturns. When this came out initially and I saw it, I wasn't impressed, didn't bother looking into it, but since I've gotten it, I have absolutely adored this blaster. Now I like a nice wood finish as much as the next person, but this is not wood. This is just brown plastic. And brown, to me, is not an appealing color. Jumping on Thingiverse, tracking down a couple of designs that are wonderful for this blaster, a stock, as well as a different pump grip, so we can ditch the brown and just try to match up the black and the chartreuse, I believe it is. So I'm going to assemble those things, disassemble this blaster as much as I need to, and I just want to show off, hopefully, taking this already gorgeous blaster up to the next level. This one in particular, thrifted, so it is filthy. Gonna have to start by cleaning this up. Before we get into the stock assembly, I just want to talk about this magnificent specimen. So, this pump grip for the Saturn is brought to us by a Mr. Colin Williams from California, or Colin W1 on Thingiverse. Now, I can sling together a few simple shapes on Fusion 360 or something, but I am always extremely impressed with this sort of design work. This thing looks magnificent, and he designed it to be printed. I printed it upright. I did use a raft because I'm always scared of losing a print to falling over or something or coming disconnected. No supports for this thing. Printed absolutely perfectly and looks magnificent in this Overture matte black finish. I was very happy with this PLA. Comparing it with this, which is a much shinier black coming from Hatchbox, this was one of the first blacks I used, and I don't think I'm ever going to go back to that because this black looks absolutely wonderful here. Very happy to try out this pump grip for the Saturn. If you feel so inclined, please go throw Colin W1 at Thingiverse a couple bucks if you plan to print this design, because he deserves it. Now, jumping into the stock. The stock prints in 7 parts. The insides with that same Overture matte black, and the outsides with their grass green, which matches the Saturn nearly perfectly. Sorry, did I say 7 parts? Because I meant 8, including the butt. One thing I think I did screw up on was I printed this face down like this, and I ended up with a little, I guess, support material here left, so I had to do a little bit of sanding, and this turned out pretty ugly. But in retrospect, if I had printed it this way down with no support material, maybe on a raft or something, any ugliness would have shown up here, and I think this would have printed just fine, because designers are typically good about that these days. So that's the printing. Now, to get this together, we need 18 brass inserts. These are M3s, and they are 5.7 millimeter length. So we've got the soldering iron set to 420 degrees Fahrenheit. You can kind of probably get away with anything between 400 to 430, something like that. That is to heat up the brass inserts and then insert them into the plastic holes. Alright, there's one of 18. The 2 in the center here need to be inserted at just a slight angle in order to match the angle that's created by this outer piece here. For this rear center piece, the remaining 2, or 4 I guess, 2 on either side, can be inserted straight down 90 degrees like you normally would. Okay, one center piece down. So similar to this piece, this front one also needs to be angled down slightly, so I'm just going to drag it a little bit. That should be it for the brass inserts. Just going to lay this out in the way that I think it should kind of lay out. Now, I've never actually assembled this, so I don't know for sure, but I'm only going to assemble the rear part here because there's this section here I'm assuming is going to actually fit into the blaster. So I don't want to put this on quite yet because that covers up that area. So I'm not sure how this is going to look, but for now I'm only going to assemble this rear part piece here. Feels like it only fits in one way. Alright, that looks good. But we need some bolts. What kind of bolts do we need? Alright, so we needed 18 brass inserts, so we need 18 bolts. All these bolts are M3s. The two longer ones are 16 millimeter. We got some shorter 8 millimeter, and then we got some 10 millimeter. Alright, I'll throw the butt on there first. The rear is a 10. This angled one here, the first angled one is an 8. Alright, so this one, I lied. It does matter a little bit more than I think I anticipated, so I'm going to pull this to the right slightly. And while I wait for that, I'm going to test it on the other side to see if this one doesn't bind up either, hopefully. Alright, clearly this side is going a lot better. This kit was put together, it looks like June of 2022, so if you got a few extra bucks, please run out there to Thingiverse as well and throw a tip his way, because this little stock kit so far is looking fabulous, easy to print, easy to put together. He obviously spent a lot of time thinking about this. And if he didn't spend a lot of time on it, well, all the more kudos to him. Alright, that one went in great. So again, these two are 10s and this is an 8. Alright, that so far is looking lovely. Now, I don't think this is perfectly symmetrical, but I also don't think it really matters which way this goes on. Now, while these brass inserts are usually pretty forgiving, as soon as you hear it start to bind or make any sort of squeaking noises, definitely reset the brass insert. Don't try to force it in because you will end up just ripping the plastic apart. Something I've learned through experience, but maybe you can never make that mistake yourself. Alright, so here we are. I'm gonna grab the Saturn that I've cleaned up and yeah, we'll disassemble it. Well, I guess I should have known, judging by the exterior, that this was going to be messy, so I'm going to give it a quick wash after taking the pump off. Okay, so we've got the pump grip off and we've got the stock off. So it looks like I can put on, I'll probably put this bottom side on. The 8 millimeter goes in here in the angled slot. Then we've got a 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter, and this last one down near the handle is an 8. Okay, so it looks like we're just gonna slide this in here. This could get dicey maybe. I don't know if my print is gonna be perfect. Oh, looks like. Okay. Now my print got a little ugly here, so I am going to have to do a tiny bit of cleanup on this. I am already loving how this is going to look. Oh my goodness. Finally an 8, and hopefully this kind of secures it without, breaking anything. Uh-oh. Alright, so starting to hear some binding, so I'm not going to tempt fate. I'm going to disassemble this whole little bit. Just going to adjust that slightly and maybe dig a little bit more out of here. Now let's get the pump grip on there. It is going to require a little bit of pressure to force this apart, but hopefully should not be a big deal. All right. Couple snapping sounds, you know, always scary with plastic, but I think it's nice and in there. And that is that. Alright, so there we have the final product. Now I printed this in sort of the opposite color scheme that the original creator had printed it in, just because it's different, just so you can take a look and see both the different color schemes and see which one you like more, just so you can make an informed decision if you decide to make this kit. I am extremely happy with how this came out. This already magnificent blaster looks phenomenal. With this added stock and this pump grip, I want to give another special thanks to Colin and Adrian for creating these models. You guys are what makes the Nerf community go round, and I appreciate what you do so much. So, until next time guys, you can be serious about Nerf, but don't take Nerf too seriously.